Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. Appreciate you taking out time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Much appreciated. Now for this particular video, I want to bring up the PlayStation because the PlayStation to me has the best selection of RPGs, which is also my favorite genre. So in order to showcase that, I wanted to start off with one that you may not have heard of, but it's definitely worth your time. If you're in RPGs like me, you should definitely check this game out. Just got an HD re-release a couple years ago, and it is what I would like to call charming. It is probably one of the most charming RPGs I've ever played. Now, the game is called Grandia, and it stars a young adventurer named Justin, and you meet a bunch of people. You start off with his friend Sue. They're like childhood buddies, and he wants to be the best adventurer. Now, when I played this game in 2000 originally, I hadn't really started watching animes or anything like that heavy besides, you know, the basic Toonami stuff, the Dragon Balls, the Cyborg 009, stuff like that. And it really, before all of these things were kind of tropey, this game has everything, right? You got the happy-go-lucky, you know, all shucks, but it's really down for whatever main character. Supporting cast is great. And one of the things I noticed like really early in this game is it had a lot of female leads. And prior to games like this, and as we went forward with a lot of new games, you started to see it more. But back then it really wasn't common. Most of the bad guys were like, you know, big scary dudes. Even in RPGs, as cliche as that, you may have had one or two women who were like supporting the main bad guy, but not as many as you have in this game. And I thought that was really cool early on. The other thing that happens in this game, without spoiling too much, is you lose party members like permanently. Like they go on their own stories, and I thought that was really cool. And it's kind of touching. It's a little, you know, a little heartbreaking, a little sad when you spend a lot of time with these characters and they have to go on their separate ways. But I thought it was really more realistic for that type of journey where you would be able to see these people develop and decide to make their own choices and do their own things. So the game, again, I don't want to spoil too much because I really want you to play this, is, you know, you start off trying to become an adventurer. You got to get an adventurer's license. You have to, you know, get your passport to even get on the ship to leave out of town. And you're doing this because your father was an adventurer and your mom was a pirate. And so, you know, exploring is in your blood. You got to do it. You can't help yourself. And this character, Justin, is really cool. One, in addition to all the things I've told you about him already, he shares a name with my brother. So as soon as I played it, I was like, oh yeah, we're in, you know. And also this game doesn't have a lot of like traditional RPG names, you know. During this time you had a lot of stuff like Cloud, and it's like the Final Fantasy type of names where they're like either like other things or like adjectives and adverbs, or just, you know, names that they weren't common. And these characters had a lot of very common names, which made it really cool. Some of the characters don't, but just, you know, when you're playing the game and to see the originality, especially during that time, was really cool. The other thing is the level up system. So just like most RPGs, you know, you gain experience points from fighting and you get level ups, and that allows you to get new abilities. But the way that Grandia does it, which I always thought was really cool, is you can use different weapons with your characters, and leveling up the weapons gives you abilities in addition to using the magic to get more abilities. So you have to use these things. You have to find these combinations. Some of the combinations they tell you up front, some of them you unlock later on in the game, but it gives you more of an incentive to grind it out because you want to unlock more abilities. You want to get your people stronger. You want to see what new moves you come up with. You start having tandem moves. There's so many little things that go into the level up side. And so I can play this game and I can focus more so on certain types of weapons. Let's say I want to focus more on the swords. And so my character may have a lot of sword skills, but another person can play it and they can just try to get all the moves. So they may be more well-rounded, which will give them access to more abilities. And then you start to mix and match your magic, and that comes up with different abilities, and pretty much everybody can use, you know, most spells. So it allows you to make your team the way you'd like. Also, the battle system uses, it's not necessarily an active battle system, but there is a meter at the bottom that, you know, based on your character stats, your movement, your action speeds, it adds an extra layer of strategy. You're able to counter enemies. You're able to delay their turns by, doing certain abilities and attacks on them. And it adds an extra depth to an RPG. And again, we're talking about late 90s, early 2000s, where the selection is very narrow, and also they're all very similar in some form or fashion. We like to make the joke to where you play a JRPG, at some point you got to kill God, right? There's always some super deity that went evil, which you thought was good, and then all of a sudden you find out it's bad. And this really doesn't do a lot of that. There are some things that you'll notice that you've probably seen in other games before, but there's a lot of things that are just very, very much Grandia, and I really enjoyed the game. The other thing was, and I know this doesn't mean too much, but back in the day, it got to the point where the CDs were not enough to hold the game, so we had multiple discs. And in my mind, a sign of a good RPG was multiple discs, and this game was 2 discs, so I knew I was in for a great time. Without getting too much of the story, you try to get to the end of the world, and you find out, as things always happen in RPGs, they're not always what they're seen. But this game was really cool. I don't know a lot of people who've played it, and again, that's why I wanted to highlight it, because I feel like more people should play it. You can get there's a HD remake for the PC as well as the Switch. I would 10 out of 10 recommend. It is a wonderfully designed game, visually, gameplay wise, story wise. It really leans into itself, right? It knows what it does well. The characters, it's even got some voice acting. It's got some animated cutscenes. But the biggest part of the game is when you start to really get to explore the world and really find out, what's going on in this version of Earth, because we're on some version of it, right? But it's their made up, worlds and all of those things. And different characters you come across, like I said, are fantastic. And some of them are there for the long haul, and some of them are there for a season. And, you might get attached to someone who decides to go their separate ways in a good way, and you get to see them off, and it's cool. But everything in the end wraps up very neatly. And I thought that was really cool. So if you've played this game, please let me know your thoughts, who your favorite characters are. Again, not too many spoilers, because we want people to get to experience this for the first time. But I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this game. And if you haven't played it, like I said, please go check it out. It is called Grandia. If you can get it on PlayStation, congratulations. If not, then get the HD remakes on the PC and the Switch. But I appreciate you taking our time to check out the video. Be safe, have fun. Peace.